Buckle up, because this might just be the most jaw-dropping scandal to ever hit the love and hip-hop universe. Fans thought the drama between Kirk, Rasheeda, and Jasmine had cooled off. They thought the storm had passed. But the calm was only the eye, and now, the hurricane has returned with a vengeance. During what was supposed to be a peaceful reunion special, the energy in the room shifted with one shocking sentence that silenced the entire cast and had Rasheeda visibly trembling in disbelief. Cameras captured it all. Kirk Frost's secret marriage to Jasmine Washington, hidden from the world for years, exposed in front of a live studio audience with Rasheeda sitting just feet away. And no, this wasn't a twisted prank or a producer's stunt. It was real, it was raw, and it was brutal. Sources close to the show reveal that Kirk and Jasmine tied the knot in a private courthouse ceremony during one of their co-parenting weekends, and somehow, Rasheeda never knew. Not once. Not even when Jasmine began showing up at Frost family functions with a little too much confidence. Not even when she started referring to herself as part of the family. Now it all makes sense. And Rasheeda's reaction? Devastating. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, she just stared, stone cold, like the life had been ripped out of her, on live TV. And the worst part, Jasmine didn't hold back. In front of the cameras, in front of the cast, and in front of millions of viewers at home, she said it loud and clear. I'm not the side chick anymore. I'm the wife. Mic drop. Fans are shocked. Social media has exploded. And Rasheeda, she's left with one question. How could he do this again? Keep watching, because the truth behind Kirk's secret marriage, Jasmine's bold confession, and Rasheeda's shattering heartbreak is far deeper and darker than anyone imagined. The reunion stage was lit in gold and crimson, with cameras rolling and tension simmering beneath the surface like a pot about to boil over. Everyone expected minor shade, some clever clapbacks, and a few staged reconciliations. What no one expected, least of all Rasheeda, was for her entire reality to come crashing down in front of a live audience. Courtesy of the man she once called her everything, Kirk Frost sat stone-faced on the left side of the stage. Dressed immaculately as always, but there was something different in the way he avoided eye contact. Jasmine Washington, seated 2 rows away, wore a smirk that didn't quite match the occasion. The show's host picked up on the tension immediately and leaned into it, teasing, "Now, Kirk, there's been a lot of chatter about your co-parenting situation with Jasmine lately. Anything you'd like to clear up for the fans?" Kirk shifted, his fingers locking and unlocking. Then came a long silence, and in that silence, something inside Rasheeda began to stir, something ancient, like intuition whispering a storm was near. Jasmine didn't wait for Kirk's answer. She leaned forward, her voice sharp, deliberate, and echoing. "Why don't you just tell her? Or should I? She deserves to know from someone before she finds out online." The crowd gasped before anything had even been said. Rasheeda's gaze whipped from Jasmine to Kirk, her lips parting in disbelief, a chill crawling up her spine. "Tell me what?" she asked, her voice cutting through the quiet like a blade. Kirk looked like he'd swallowed glass. The host raised an eyebrow. Jasmine took a breath, then exhaled a truth that shattered everything. "Me and Kirk, we're married. We've been married for almost a year." And then everything stood still. The audience went silent. The cast members froze. Even the cameraman tilted forward in disbelief, as if he himself couldn't believe what he was filming. Rasheeda didn't blink. Her fingers curled into fists, her nails digging into her palms. But she didn't say a word. Not yet. "I'm sorry, what?" she finally uttered, her voice trembling but deadly calm. "You're what?" Kirk attempted damage control instantly. "Rasheeda, listen, I was gonna tell you, I just didn't know how you married her." Rasheeda interrupted, her voice rising now. "You married the same woman who tore our family apart. The same woman you had a baby with behind my back. And you didn't tell me." Jasmine, unbothered and emboldened, added fuel to the fire. "We didn't mean for it to happen like this. It just evolved. He needed someone who wasn't judging him all the time. Someone who accepted all of him, even the parts he hides from you." That was the moment Rasheeda stood up. She didn't scream, she didn't slap anyone. She stood tall, dignified, wounded beyond repair. "I gave that man 20 years of my life. I stayed through everything. And this is how he repays me." From the other side of the room, Spice whispered, "This ain't no regular drama. This is betrayal on a spiritual level." The audience agreed. Fans watching at home immediately took to social media, flooding Twitter and Instagram with shock, disbelief, and heartbreak. Hashtags like hashtag RASHEEDA deserved better and hashtag Kirk, what did you do, started trending within minutes. But inside the studio, no one cared about trending topics. The pain was real. The betrayal was raw. And Rasheeda looked like she'd been punched in the soul. Scrambling to justify the chaos, Kirk blurted out, "It wasn't like that. We were in a bad place, me and you. You barely looked at me, Rasheeda. You were always working, always pushing me away. Jasmine she listened." Rasheeda snapped. "Listened? That's what this is about. You threw away your family for someone who listened. You married her because she stroked your ego, while I was building our empire." Jasmine rolled her eyes. "You had your chance to keep him. You chose your business over your man." Rasheeda lunged, not physically, but emotionally. "I chose to survive. I chose to keep our name clean, while you were the stain on it." The room crackled with emotion. Cast members looked around, unsure whether to intervene or just let the storm burn itself out. Scrappy, who had been silent all this time, muttered under his breath, "Kirk, man, you wildin'. There's no comeback from this." Even Bambi, usually one to stay out of other people's mess, leaned into the mic and added, "I'm sorry, but this is low even for you. You could have told her. You owed her that." Rasheeda's voice was shaking now. "You were coming home to me, as her husband. Sleeping in my bed, eating meals with our son, like nothing had changed. What kind of man does that?" Kirk had no answers. Only guilt. Jasmine, on the other hand, didn't flinch. "At least now you know. Maybe now we can all stop pretending." But Rasheeda wasn't pretending anymore. Her eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "You didn't just break my heart, Kirk. You broke our story. You rewrote our legacy without telling me." The host, unsure how to proceed, offered a pause. "We're gonna take a quick break," Rasheeda cut in. "No, don't cut. Let them see this. Let the world see what loyalty gets you. Let them see what happens when you love a man more than you love yourself." The room was silent again, the weight of betrayal hanging in the air like smoke. And just as it seemed the moment couldn't get any heavier, Jasmine casually added, "Oh, and by the way, we're expecting again." The gasp that followed was almost inhuman. Rasheeda clutched her chest, stepping back as if she'd been physically hit. "You're pregnant?" she whispered. "With his child." Jasmine nodded, smug. "A baby girl. Due in 4 months." Rasheeda's legs gave slightly beneath her, but she didn't fall. She stood tall, though broken, and said only 4 words, "You can keep him." Then she turned to walk off stage. And that was when Kirk called out, "Wait, Rasheeda, don't go. There's more I need to say." But Rasheeda didn't turn back. Not even once. The camera panned to her retreating figure, the sound of her heels echoing like war drums across the set floor. She didn't run, she didn't collapse. She simply walked away from the man who broke her in front of the world. But little did she know, the story wasn't over yet. Because backstage, waiting in the shadows, was someone who'd just flown in, someone who claimed to have receipts, and what those receipts revealed would change everything. Backstage, the energy was thick, with disbelief, confusion, and whispers that fluttered through the crew like wildfire. Rasheeda had disappeared into her dressing room, slamming the door behind her, leaving a vacuum on the stage that no one could fill. The silence she left behind spoke louder than any words could. Jasmine sat coolly sipping water, one hand resting on her barely showing baby bump, while Kirk stared at the floor like a man who had just witnessed his own funeral. But before anyone could fully process what had just unraveled live on national TV, a crew member rushed to the producer's booth holding a phone and yelling, "She's here, she's at the gate. Do we let her in?" The producer's eyes widened. Who? The crew member whispered the name Kiki. And in that instant, everything changed. Kiki, Rasheeda's older cousin from Houston, who had long distanced herself from the Atlanta drama, had arrived uninvited. But she wasn't just here to support her cousin. No. She had receipts. Real ones, printouts, voicemails, screenshots, and a whole iCloud folder labeled, "Kirk's Secret Life." As Kiki entered the backstage corridor with an energy that demanded space, security tried to stop her, but the producers waved her through. This was television gold. She was mic'd up within seconds, and the cameras were repositioned to capture her entrance. Meanwhile, the cast on stage tried to piece together the aftermath of the bomb Jasmine had dropped. Young Jock leaned over to Erica, whispering, "Ain't no way this dude just fumbled Rasheeda like that. Jasmine got him twisted." But just as Jock was finishing that sentence, the doors burst open again. There stood Kiki, holding a thick envelope, her phone, and an expression that could burn through walls. "I wasn't gonna say nothin'," she began, walking straight to center stage. "But after watchin' this circus unfold, I can't stay quiet no more." The audience was already shrieking in anticipation. Rasheeda, watching from her monitor, in the dressing room, froze mid-step. Kiki pointed straight at Kirk. "You didn't just marry Jasmine behind my cousin's back. You married her while still legally married to Rasheeda. Which means that marriage, it's not even real." The room exploded. People screamed. Even Jasmine sat up, her eyes narrowing. "You're lying," she hissed. Kiki opened her envelope, pulling out court documents. "You want to see the Fulton County records? Kirk never filed for divorce. He never even started the process. So unless Georgia passed a bigamy law overnight, your little courthouse wedding, it's just a photo shoot with paperwork." Kirk's jaw locked tight. He looked caught, cornered, and confused. Jasmine's smug demeanor flickered. "Then what did we sign?" she asked him. Kirk swallowed. It was a promise certificate. I didn't want to hurt Rasheeda by filing officially until Kiki cut him off. "So you had a fake wedding to your side chick while playing house with your wife. You're a walking scandal, Kirk. And you dragged my cousin through hell for this." Rasheeda, watching from backstage, suddenly opened the door. The audience turned as she reappeared, face dry but eyes aflame. She walked with precision, a woman not broken but reawakened. She stepped between Kirk and Kiki, facing Jasmine first. "So you're pregnant with a man who faked a marriage just to play savior while still being tied to me." Jasmine bit her lip. "I didn't know." Rasheeda's tone turned razor sharp. "You didn't care." Then she turned to Kirk. "You sat at our family table, slept in our bed, let our son call you daddy. And all that time, you were out here pretending to be somebody's husband. Again, I held you down through every scandal, every lie, every child, but this is unforgivable." Kirk stepped forward. "Rasheeda, listen," but she cut him off. "Don't, just stop. Every time I forgave you, you gave me new reasons to regret it. I don't need an apology. I need my freedom." The audience burst into applause. Even the host, speechless for most of the segment, couldn't help but say, "Wow." Rasheeda walked to the edge of the stage and faced the audience directly. "Let this be a lesson to every woman watching. Don't stay with a man out of fear, out of history, or out of habit. Love yourself enough to walk away." The power in her voice, the clarity in her eyes, it was as if the years of silent suffering had cracked open, and all the fire she'd been swallowing was finally pouring out. Kiki placed a hand on Rasheeda's shoulder. "You ain't alone, baby. You got family." But the drama didn't stop there. Jasmine, suddenly looking panicked, pulled out her phone and began scrolling frantically. "This ain't right," she muttered. "He showed me documents. He said it was legal. He lied to me, too." Rasheeda smirked for the first time. "Welcome to my world." Then came the final blow. Kiki pulled out a USB drive and handed it to the host. "Play this," she said. "Let the world hear how far Kirk went to keep this lie going." The host hesitated, then signaled the crew. Moments later, the audio played through the speakers. It was Kirk's voice, recorded on a phone call with Jasmine, saying, "I'm still married, but I'm working on it. You don't need to worry about Rasheeda, she's checked out. This marriage is just paperwork now." Rasheeda winced, hearing it. Jasmine covered her face with her hands. Kirk didn't move. The truth was out and there was no more running from it. As the clip ended, the silence returned, this time, deeper, heavier. Rasheeda turned and walked off again, but this time with her head high, her steps lighter. Kirk stood still, surrounded by the wreckage of every lie he thought he could control. Jasmine. She sat in stunned silence, the ring on her finger suddenly feeling like a shackle, and the audience, cast, and fans watching at home all understood one thing. This wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the beginning of Rasheeda's rebirth. And none of them were ready for what came next. Back in her dressing room, Rasheeda leaned against the counter, the cold of the vanity mirror pressing into her back as her chest rose and fell, each breath harder than the last. The reality was hitting her not in waves but in relentless, crushing blows. 20 years of marriage. Years of rebuilding after Kirk's last betrayal. Co-parenting, businesses, a brand they built from nothing, and now, all of it tainted by a truth so raw it had played out like a circus in front of the world. But just as she reached for a tissue, her phone buzzed. Hundreds of DMIs, missed calls, and texts flooded in. Some from old friends, some from fans, and one from her son Kai. "Mom, I saw everything. I'm with you, no matter what." That one message shattered whatever pride she'd used to hold herself together. And the tears finally came, not for Kirk, not for Jasmine, but for herself. For all the years she'd silenced her pain to protect a man who didn't deserve her. Meanwhile, on stage, Jasmine was unraveling. The weight of the crowd's judgment, the cast's sides, and the truth of Kirk's duplicity began to choke the confidence right out of her. She snapped at the host. "Y'all act like I was the only one in this. He lied to me, too. I didn't ask to be dragged into this mess." The host, trying to stay composed, replied, "But you knew who he was. This isn't the first time Kirk's hurt Rasheeda. Why would you believe you'd be different?" Jasmine flared up. "Because he promised. He told me Rasheeda didn't care about him anymore. That she was cold, and that I made him feel alive again." The audience booed. Even some of the crew shook their heads. Carly Red, never one to miss a moment, stepped in. "Girl, you were never gonna win. You think he's gonna change for you? He cheated on Rasheeda with you. And now he's cheating on you with lies." Jasmine's voice cracked. "I didn't plan this." But Scrappy scoffed from across the stage. "You sure acted like you did, showing up to events, smirking at Rasheeda, acting like you had some power, but you just played yourself." Jasmine went quiet. For the first time since the reveal, her confidence deflated entirely. But just when it seemed like the moment had reached its emotional peak, Kirk reemerged from backstage alone, disheveled, and visibly shaking. He asked the host for the mic and stood at the center of the stage like a man on trial. The host gave him a look that screamed, "You better make this worth it." "I messed up," Kirk began, his voice low and hollow. "There's no defense. Excuse. I hurt the one woman who stood by me through everything. I destroyed my family." Again, he paused, then turned to Jasmine. "And I hurt you too. I lied. I married you without telling the full truth. I wanted to start over, but I built that start on lies. I thought I could keep both lives from crashing into each other. But I was wrong." The audience sat in stunned silence. "I was scared," he continued, "of losing Rasheeda, of being alone, of not being loved. So I clung to anything that made me feel wanted. But that's not love. That's desperation. And I let it ruin everything." In the control room, the producers whispered among themselves. "This is the best TV we've ever shot," one of them murmured. Raw, emotional, unfiltered. Back on stage, Kirk's speech was not landing as he hoped. Erica interjected, "Kirk, you didn't just cheat. You disrespected her publicly. You humiliated her. You married another woman while sharing a roof with your wife. That's not a mistake. That's a calculated choice." Even Sierra, who once defended Kirk in past seasons, shook her head. "This ain't it, Kirk. You had chances. Rasheeda gave you grace more times than most women would, and you threw it in her face." Kirk looked toward the dressing room hallway. "I just want her to know. I'm sorry, but Rasheeda didn't come out." She was watching from the monitor, arms crossed, unmoved. She had heard every apology before. The flowers, the gifts, the public remorse. She was done being his redemption arc. She was her own story now. Just then, her manager walked in holding a clipboard. "You good?" he asked softly. "You wanna go back out?" Rasheeda shook her head. "No. Let them have the last word. I've already said mine." Back on stage, the cast continued to react. Spice said, "You know what hurts the most about all this? Rasheeda always showed up for everybody on this stage. Even when y'all had beef. She was fair, strong, loyal. She didn't deserve this." The room nodded. Even Jasmine, now visibly shaken, began to cry. "I didn't mean to destroy her," she whispered. "I just thought I was finally being chosen." The host turned toward her, more gently this time. "Sometimes, being chosen doesn't mean you're loved. It means you're being used." The audience broke into soft applause. The weight of that statement lingered, floating heavy above the set. The reality had settled in. Kirk wasn't just a cheater. He was a manipulator, a man who kept two women spinning in different directions while he pretended to be lost himself. And now, both women stood before the wreckage of his choices, carrying scars they didn't ask for. As taping wrapped for the day, producers announced that part 2 of the reunion would resume filming tomorrow. Cast members filed out one by one, some stopping to hug Rasheeda on the way out. Scrappy said, "You strong sis, don't let this break you." Erica added, "Let him drown in his own lies." Even Jasmine, before leaving, sent a message through a PA. Tell her I'm sorry. Genuinely, but Rasheeda didn't reply. She was already in a different headspace. In her mind, she wasn't a cast member anymore. She was a woman rebuilding, reclaiming. Later that night, a clip from the show leaked early. It went viral. Within hours, hashtag Team RASHEEDA was trending worldwide. Celebrities chimed in. Fans created edits. Even people who had never watched Love and Hip Hop were invested now. The story had transcended reality TV. It had become a cultural moment. A moment about betrayal, survival, and awakening. And as Rasheeda sat on her hotel balcony, the city lights of Atlanta stretching before her, she realized something profound. This wasn't her downfall. It was her liberation. But Kirk, he was just beginning to face the consequences. Because the scandal wasn't over, more footage was coming, more secrets. And the next 24 hours would shatter what little was left of the fantasy he tried to protect. By the next morning, Atlanta had become the epicenter of a scandal that refused to die down. Every blog, every podcast, every Shade Room account was on fire with the same headline: Kirk Frost secretly married Jasmine while still married to Rasheeda, and it was all caught on camera. But the true eruption came when previously unaired behind-the-scenes footage was mysteriously leaked online. The video, allegedly captured by a crew member during a break in filming, showed Kirk in a secluded corner of the set with Jasmine, far more relaxed than any betrayed woman should appear after finding out her marriage was possibly fake. In the video, Jasmine asked quietly, "You think she'll leave you for good this time?" And Kirk smirked. "She always says she will, but she won't. Rasheeda, don't leave. She builds." Then he added something that hit the internet like a brick through glass. "Besides, the drama keeps us relevant. Without it, we're just another boring couple. This keeps us on screen." Fans were livid. The idea that Kirk saw Rasheeda paint as content, as entertainment, to keep their checks coming, flipped the narrative on its head. What had started as a tragic love triangle had turned into a cold, calculated PR game. Social media exploded with demands for Rasheeda to walk away, for good. Comments flooded her latest post. "You owe him nothing. This man used your heartbreak for fame. Queen, reclaim your crown." But Rasheeda wasn't sitting idle. She was already in meetings, not about reconciliation, about separation. She contacted her legal team, and word quickly spread that divorce papers were being prepared. She wasn't just leaving emotionally. This time, she was ending the empire they'd built together. Every shared LLC, every business partnership, everything. She was detaching, piece by piece, from the man who had weaponized her loyalty. Meanwhile, Kirk tried to save face. He posted a now-deleted video on his Instagram stories, pacing nervously in what appeared to be his home office. "Y'all don't understand the full picture," he said, breathless. "Reality TV is messy. Sometimes we say things just to fit the narrative." That clip, taken out of context. "Me and Rasheeda, we're complicated. We've always been." But the damage was done. Fans didn't want context. They wanted accountability. And Rasheeda, she didn't even acknowledge the video. She was too busy meeting with her PR strategist, discussing how to reintroduce herself to the world not as Kirk's wife, but as Rasheeda the brand. On set, the second day of the reunion filming resumed under a different energy. The audience came in buzzing, waiting for the fallout. The host opened the episode by announcing that Rasheeda would not be returning to the stage. "She has decided to focus on herself, and we respect that choice." A few audience members booed, but most applauded. Rasheeda had become a symbol of silent strength in the storm. Jasmine, looking visibly shaken and no longer glowing in confidence, sat alone. Her makeup was perfect, but her spirit wasn't. When asked if she had anything to say now that the dust had settled, she leaned into the mic and said, "I was wrong. Not just about Kirk, but about everything. I thought I was winning. I didn't realize I was just the next casualty." The silence that followed was deafening. Even cast members who had previously disliked Rasheeda looked down in shame. Because at the end of it all, everyone had witnessed something ugly: a man breaking to women in the name of ego and exposure. Then, unexpectedly, the host received a message in his earpiece. "We have a surprise guest joining remotely," he announced. The screen behind the cast lit up and there was Rasheeda, live via satellite from her home, calm, composed, glowing. The crowd went wild. "Hey y'all," she began, her voice smooth like velvet. "I just wanted to say thank you. To everyone who's been sending love, prayers, and truth, I see you, and I feel you. The host asked the question on everyone's mind, what now? Is it really over? Rasheeda smiled. It's been over. I just hadn't closed the door yet, but today, I'm not just closing it, I'm locking it. Deadbolt. She continued. For too long, I sacrificed my peace to preserve a brand, to protect a man who didn't protect me. But I realize now, I was always the brand. Me, my story, my strength. Kirk was just part of the plot twist. I'm the whole damn narrative. Applause erupted. Even Jasmine nodded, tears in her eyes. I want to apologize, she said, barely audible. Not because I got caught up, but because I should have never tried to wear a crown. That wasn't mine to claim. Rasheeda replied with a grace only a woman reborn could possess. I accept that, and I hope you heal, but not at my expense. The host wrapped up this segment by asking Rasheeda what her next move would be. Expansion, she said simply. New business ventures. New music, and maybe one day, a new kind of love. But this time, it'll be with someone who doesn't need to dim my light to feel like he's shining. The screen faded to black, and everyone in the studio stood up. Not because they were told to, because it felt right. It was the closing of a painful chapter, but also the beginning of something powerful. A woman had walked through fire, and now she was flying from the ashes. Meanwhile, Kirk remained noticeably absent. No more appearances. No more statements. His social media accounts went dark. Sources claimed he was staying at a hotel, isolated and stunned by the backlash. Friends said he hadn't eaten in days. That he'd lost weight. That he cried alone. But to the public, there was little sympathy. As one fan put it, you play with a diamond, and you lose it in the dirt. Jasmine, left to deal with her pregnancy in the shadow of a scandal, also began stepping away from the spotlight. She deleted multiple posts. Disabled comments. Rumors swirled she had hired her own attorney to look into the legality of the wedding Kirk had promised her, but no amount of backpedaling could erase the image of Rasheeda standing tall, reclaiming her power in front of millions. A week later, Rasheeda dropped a new project, a motivational podcast titled Built from the Wreckage. The first episode, Letting Go Isn't Weak, It's Warrior Work. Within hours, it climbed to the top of Apple Podcasts. Women across the country shared clips, quoting her words, finding strength in her story. Rasheeda had transformed betrayal into a blueprint for rebirth. And just like that, the narrative shifted. She was no longer the heartbroken wife on reality TV. She was the phoenix, the mogul, the voice of every woman who had ever stayed too long, loved too hard, and walked away too late, but finally walked away nonetheless. As her podcast ended, her final words echoed, to every woman watching, when they show you who they are, believe them, then show them who you are. And don't ever look back. The screen faded out. The story was over. But Rasheeda's new chapter was just beginning. So there you have it, fam, the most explosive, gut-wrenching, and unforgettable scandal in love and hip-hop history. Kirk Frost didn't just betray Rasheeda, he orchestrated a double life, weaponized loyalty, and used to women's hearts like stepping stones in his endless hustle for relevance. But in the end, it all came crashing down live on camera, in front of the world. Jasmine thought she had won. Kirk thought he had control. But Rasheeda, she walked away with something far more powerful than revenge. She walked away with her dignity, her peace, and the undivided support of millions who now see her not just as a survivor, but as a queen reborn. The fallout continues, and while Jasmine quietly retreats and Kirk fades into the shadows of his own destruction, Rasheeda rises, starting new ventures, inspiring women across the globe, and rewriting her own narrative one fearless step at a time. This wasn't just another TV moment. This was a reckoning, a lesson, a cultural reset. Because when a woman reclaims her power after being shattered, that's not just reality, that's a revolution. And now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about Kirk's deception? Was Jasmine truly in the dark or playing her own game? Should Rasheeda forgive him again? Or is this finally the end of the Frost legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is far from over. Make sure to like this video if you're rooting for Rasheeda. Subscribe for more unfiltered truth from the world of reality TV, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another scandal, secret, or shocking moment. This is where drama meets truth. This is where legends fall and queens rise. And baby, we're just getting started. Until next time, stay messy, stay woke, and stay watching. Rasheeda thought she had seen it all: years of rebuilding, reconciliation, and holding her family together against all odds. But nothing could have prepared her or fans for this. Just when everyone believed the storm had passed in the Frost household, a new scandal has erupted that's tearing apart everything Rasheeda fought so hard to protect, in a stunning twist that's left viewers gasping and social media in absolute chaos. Fresh allegations have surfaced about Kirk Frost and his long-forgotten flame, Jasmine Washington. And this time, it's not just whispers. It's video footage, receipts, confessions, truth bombs that no amount of damage control can contain. It all started with a cryptic Instagram story posted late at night by a mutual friend of Jasmine's. Just a shaky video of Kirk entering what looked like Jasmine's building. But it didn't end there. Within 24 hours, Jasmine herself stepped forward, not with denial, but with confirmation. And if that wasn't jaw-dropping enough, she dropped a voice recording, a recording that allegedly catches Kirk saying things no married man should ever say. "I messed up. Again. I still care about you, Jasmine." The internet erupted. Rasheeda's inner circle was blindsided. Friends close to the couple revealed Rasheeda had been suspicious for weeks but had no proof. That is, until now. Cameras captured the moment Rasheeda received the evidence, and let's just say, emotions ran high. Word spread fast. Cast members from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta started choosing sides. Some believe Kirk is being set up. Others say he's been playing Rasheeda all along. Fans are in disbelief. How could Kirk betray Rasheeda again after everything she's forgiven him for? And why is Jasmine back in the picture at this exact moment? Was it all a setup? Or has Kirk been living a double life? Right under Rasheeda's nose. As the drama unfolds in real time, the Frost family's carefully mended image is starting to crack. Betrayal, secrets, a woman scorned, and the terrifying possibility that this could finally be the end for Rasheeda and Kirk. Buckle up. Because what you're about to witness is nothing short of a reality TV meltdown, and nobody's coming out unscathed. It was supposed to be a quiet Thursday afternoon. Rasheeda had just wrapped up a photo shoot for her fashion line. Smiling for cameras, greeting fans, and managing business like the boss woman she's always been. There was no warning. No sign that her world was about to flip upside down. She walked into her home, her sanctuary, only to be met with an energy shift. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Messages poured in. "Girl, is it true? Have you seen Jasmine's story? You okay?" At first, Rasheeda dismissed it as just another internet rumor, another attempt by the public to stir drama from an old wound. But then she opened the video. There it was. Grainy footage but unmistakably Kirk entering Jasmine's apartment complex at nearly midnight. A date stamp, a location tag, and the worst part, that familiar look in his eyes, one that always gave him away when he was hiding something. Rasheeda sat on the edge of her bed, numb. The air felt heavy. Her mind raced as the walls around her seemed to close in. Could it be true? Again? After all these years of rebuilding, therapy, public humiliation, and recommitment, she had forgiven Kirk for cheating before. She had stood by him even after Jasmine's pregnancy. She had swallowed her pride in front of the world, raising his child as if he were her own. But this, if this was happening again, if Kirk had gone back to Jasmine, it wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation on a global stage. Just then, her phone rang. It was Bambi, her friend and fellow cast member. "Sis, have you talked to Kirk? You need to see this." Jasmine posted more. Rasheeda's hands shook as she tapped through Jasmine's stories. A still photo. Kirk's truck parked outside. Then an audio recording. Rasheeda's breath caught in her throat. Kirk's voice. "I messed up. I ain't never stopped thinking about you. I didn't know how to come back." Jasmine's voice followed. .com. Calculated. "So you just sneak around and play house with me behind Rasheeda's back again? What do you want from me this time, Kirk?" The recording ended abruptly, but the damage was already done. Rasheeda's heart pounded as she threw her phone across the bed. This wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a doctored video. It was real. Too real. She picked up the phone and called Kirk. No answer. She called again. Voicemail. Again. Straight to voicemail. By the third call, she was in tears. Rage, heartbreak, and disbelief churned in her chest like a storm with no end. Meanwhile, the internet had caught fire. Twitter exploded. Kirk Frost back with Jasmine. Rasheeda deserves so much better. Not again, Kirk. The memes were brutal. The hashtags unforgiving, hashtag poor Rasheeda, hashtag Kirk AINT, Shit #Jasmine strikes back. Everyone had an opinion, and no one